Every year, as the NFL playoffs get underway, the role of the quarterback becomes magnified. Jim Plunkett was brilliant in the spotlight 2 years ago, leading the Raiders to a world championship. This season, against Cleveland in round 1 of the Super Bowl tournament, Plunkett again showed he was ready for the front page, bold type. The game's first play from scrimmage saw Plunkett throw to Cliff Branch for 64 yards, setting up a field goal. This passing combination helped put the Raiders in position for their next score as well. Branch's fumble proved harmless, and on the next play, rookie sensation Marcus Allen scored as the Raiders went ahead 10-3 in the second quarter. The Browns were not expected to challenge, particularly with young Paul McDonald at quarterback. But the third-year performer grabbed his share of the headlines with a game-tying touchdown pass to Ricky Feature, number 83. But Cleveland's firepower faded as the silver and black started ganging up on the sometimes confused McDonald. Six times, McDonald was sacked by the league's best pass rushing unit. And despite piling up close to 300 yards passing, the Browns quarterback could not put any more points on the board. The Raiders got a second touchdown from Marcus Allen on the way to a 27-10 win. For most Raiders fans, the victory was cause for celebration. But for others, well, some fans, unfortunately, did not even know who was playing. You could bet that Miami fans knew who the Dolphins were playing. A month ago in frigid Foxborough, the Patriots beat Miami 3-0, thanks in large measure to the efforts of a furloughed inmate on a weekend pass. Dolphin faithful had not forgotten. The Dolphins did not need outside help in this first-round playoff game. The best defense in football was enough to handcuff New England. Defenders like A.J. Dewey, number 77, forced the Patriots to abandon their ball control running game early and pressured Steve Grogan when he had to throw. Grogan could not get a firm grip on the Dolphins' defense, and it made for a frustrating afternoon for the Patriots quarterback. On the other hand, Miami quarterback David Woodley enjoyed one of his best games as a pro, with a little help from receivers like number 80, Joe Rose. Woodley's second-period touchdown pass to Bruce Hardy gave the Dolphins a lead that they never relinquished. It was a sign that he was in command of the Dolphins' offense, something he had been unable to do consistently during the 1982 season. This pass to number 82, Duriel Harris, helped the Dolphins extend their lead to 14-3 at the half. And it was in the second half that Woodley really put on a show. Woodley completed every pass he threw in the final 30 minutes, and his pinpoint accuracy was mostly responsible for the success of the Miami running game, which accounted for over 200 yards rushing. The Dolphins pushed New England all over the field in typical Don Shula style. Hard-nosed running and precision passing. And the precision passing was a result of a great effort by a quarterback who few expected to shine in the playoffs. But as the Dolphins look ahead following their 28-13 victory, they can rest easier knowing that their quarterback can handle the bright lights. Having waited in the wings for 12 seasons, longing for his first NFL title, Ken Anderson received warm assurance from an admiring fan that this would be his season to finally reach center stage. Against the Jets, Anderson began his performance by reenacting a scene Bengal fans have grown to love as he hit Isaac Curtis for a score. In 1982, Anderson set an NFL accuracy record, completing 70.6% of his passes. And last Sunday, his accurate arm put Cincinnati ahead 14-3. However, the afternoon's most precise passer proved to be halfback Freeman McNeil. McNeil got the Jets back into the game when he completed his only pass for a touchdown. Then the NFL's leading rusher put New York in front by a means he's a little more accustomed to. McNeil rushed for 202 yards, only 4 shy of the playoff record set in 1963, and his efforts helped boost the Jets to a 30-17 fourth quarter lead. The New York defense had kept the Bengals out of the end zone since the opening period, and with time running out, Cincinnati was forced to make a move. With wide receivers like Chris Collingsworth, number 80, going for broke late in the game often pays off handsomely. Unfortunately, like today's income tax, an offsides penalty can make a sizable gain worthless. The touchdown-poor Bengals had 2 fourth-quarter scores repossessed. However, it was an Anderson completion to Jet defensive back Darrell Ray, number 28, that finally forced Cincinnati to declare bankruptcy. Ray's 98-yard interception return set a postseason record and sealed the Jets' 44-17 win, their first playoff victory since 1969, when they beat the Baltimore Colts in Super Bowl III. While the Jets stormed by Cincinnati, the devastating eye of the playoff tornado touched down in Pittsburgh and left Three Rivers Stadium in shambles. The Steelers, in their first playoff game in 3 years, appeared to have all the odds in their favor. An 8-1 home postseason record, the terrible towels, and a chilling wind that would no doubt stiffen the sun-tanned fingers of their Southern California opponents. And at first, appearances were not deceiving, as San Diego kick returner James Brooks fumbled the opening kickoff, and the Steelers recovered the loose ball in the end zone to take a quick 7-0 lead. Pittsburgh scored again in the first quarter to go on top 14-3, but in the second period, the Chargers began to prove they can play in weather below room temperature. Brooks redeemed himself with an 18-yard scoring run. Then quarterback Dan Fouts gave San Diego the lead with a touchdown pass to tight end Eric Sievers. In a back-and-forth passing tug-of-war that would produce over 900 yards of total offense, Terry Bradshaw threw 2 second-half touchdowns to put the Steelers ahead 28-17 in the fourth quarter. However, late-game comebacks have become child's play for Fouts this season, especially with the help of a baby Huey-like receiver, 6 foot 5 inch, 240-pound Kellen Winslow, number 80. Winslow caught 2 final period touchdown passes, the second on a perfectly executed misdirection screen pass in the last minute to give the Chargers a 31-28 win. while the victory sent the high-flying Chargers soaring on a collision course with the Dolphins in a rematch of last season's unforgettable playoff game. The Steelers' defeat finally brought their up-and-down roller coaster season to an abrupt end. The Detroit Lions were hoping to find a place in the sun last Saturday, but in a Super Bowl tournament contest at Washington's RFK Stadium, the only thing that beat down upon them was the Redskins' defense. Eric Hipple wilted under a Washington pass rush that sacked him 4 times, and he was absolutely burned by cornerback Jarris White, number 45. White's 77-yard interception return got the Redskins on the board midway through the first quarter, and they never had to look back, thanks to the passing combination of Joe Theismann and 5' 7" Alvin Garrett. Subbing for injured wide receiver Art Monk, Little Alvin, number 89, had entered the game with just 6 receptions in his entire 3-year career. Against the Lions, he equaled that total while scoring on 3 of those catches. By the third quarter, Washington had built a 31-0 lead that forced Hipple to throw on nearly every down. Only once did his desperation passing pay off. Number 81, David Hill's touchdown reception accounted for Detroit's only score of the day. After the tally, Hipple was left to the mercy of a hungry Redskin defense that wasn't feeling especially merciful. Thanks to their easy 31-7 victory, the Redskins will get a chance to radiate the same kind of power against Minnesota this weekend, while the Lions were left with anything but a sunny disposition. Warm feelings were none too abundant in Green Bay, where the locals greeted the visiting St. Louis Cardinals with a noticeable chill. The Cards responded with a few snowballs and actually registered more direct hits against the fans than they did against the Packers. The poor Cardinals were really left out in the cold and had nowhere to turn. From the stands, they were stung by snow. From the field, they were pelted with passes. The Packers erased a 3-0 St. Louis first quarter lead when Lynn Dickey and number 83 John Jefferson combined on a 60-yard pass play that resulted in JJ's first touchdown of the year. After Jefferson slapped hands with the spectators, the Packers continued to smack the Cardinals around as Dickey went looking for the other member of Green Bay's dangerous duo of wide receivers, James Lofton, number 80, and found him all alone in the end zone. Between them, Lofton and Jefferson produced 9 catches for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. Dickey threw for 4 scores, and with a commanding lead, he had the luxury of throwing whenever he wanted to. Just the opposite was true for St. Louis's Neil Lomax, who put the ball up 51 times. To his credit, the second-year quarterback kept his poise in a no-win situation as he threw for 2 touchdowns. But Lomax was no match for a Packer passing attack that had all systems on go throughout the game. The 41-16 victory was the Packers' first playoff win at fabled Lambeau Field since the glory days of Vince Lombardi. But in the next round of the Super Bowl tournament, the Pack will have to travel. In Dallas, they'll seek to snowball the Cowboys, then create an avalanche that will propel them all the way to Pasadena. Don't ever try to convince Tampa Bay quarterback Doug Williams that Texas is a great place to visit. In 3 previous trips to Dallas, Williams and the Bucs had lost to the Cowboys, and matters were as bad or worse last Sunday. At halftime, Williams was a ghastly 1 for 14 passing, and defenders like number 53, linebacker Bob Brunig, had stifled the running game as well. But thanks to a play that occurred out of midair, the Bucs stormed ahead just before halftime. Number 53, linebacker Hugh Green, stole Danny White's flying fumble to give Tampa Bay a surprising 10-6 lead, even though they had been outgained by nearly 200 yards. But quarterback White atoned for his mistake, overcoming a fractured thumb and a tooth infection on a stylish scoring drive. The end result was a go-ahead touchdown that made it 13-10 Cowboys. Number 20, Ron Springs, vaulted into the end zone for the touchdown. But the Bucs vaulted back into the lead when wide receiver Gordon Jones, number 84, brushed aside everyone in his path for 6. It was the first touchdown the Buck offensive unit had produced against the Cowboys in 3 games. In the 4th quarter, the Bucs were hanging on to a 17-16 lead when rookie safety Monty Big Game Hunter, number 34, took advantage of an ill-advised Doug Williams pass. Hunter's first interception of his pro career put Dallas ahead to stay. And then the Cowboys sewed up the win when Tampa Bay linebacker Scott Bradley, number 52, took an inside move on what appeared to be a sweep to the left. Instead, Danny White rolled the other way, spotting fullback Timmy Newsom, number 30. Bradley could not recover, and Dallas scored to wrap up a 30-17 victory. Several hundred miles to the north, under Minnesota's Metrodome, Viking punter Greg Coleman waved a towel as a victory banner to fire up the fans and his teammates just before kickoff in their game with the Atlanta Falcons. A few minutes later, Coleman could have used that towel as a surrender flag. The Falcons' Paul Davis blocked the kick, and rookie Doug Rogers, number 77, recovered the ball for a touchdown as Atlanta jumped to a 7-0 lead. But the Vikings regrouped with 2 Rick Danmeyer field goals and a second quarter touchdown pass from Tommy Kramer to Sammy White, number 85. In recent weeks, Minnesota's offense has been very productive. Atlanta's has not. In fact, none of the Falcons' 3 touchdowns in this game were scored by the offensive unit. The special teams got one when holder Mike Morosky pitched to British-born kicker Mick Luckhurst. With this score, Luckhurst may have become the first native of the United Kingdom ever to rush for an NFL touchdown. Less than 2 minutes later, Atlanta's final touchdown was made, this time by native-born Bob Glazebrook, number 36, of Fresno, California. The 5th-year safety intercepted a Kramer pass and ran it in to put the Falcons ahead 21-13. For the rest of the game, Atlanta's offense was strangely silent, but Minnesota's came through in crucial moments. 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns, including number 23 Ted Brown's run with less than 2 minutes to play, gave the Vikings a 30-24 win. While Atlanta ended its season in disappointing fashion, the Vikings, a team few had taken seriously, were suddenly ready to assume the role of tournament dark horse.